About a month ago, I decided to visit the old cemetery on the edge of town. I'm a local historian, and I love exploring cemeteries. I thought it would be a simple task to document the lives of forgotten individuals. It was just me and the old tombstones, covered in vines. I felt drawn to the stories waiting to be told. I set up my notebook and started writing names and dates. The air felt heavy, but I figured it was just the quiet of the late afternoon. Maybe I should have left earlier, but something held me there. I couldn't shake the feeling that I needed to uncover the past. As dusk fell, I found a patch of disturbed grass. I bent down and felt a chill run through me. An unmarked grave. I was scared, but tried to calm myself. I thought maybe it was just animals, maybe decay. Still, I kept stealing glances back at it. It felt wrong, but I forced myself to focus on my work. The first few nights were just fine. I recorded stories of lives lived long ago. All of a sudden, I began to hear whispers at night. They were muffled, like people talking just beyond the graves. I wasn't sure if it was the wind or if I was hearing things, but I couldn't shake that feeling of being watched. On the fourth night, I returned with my lantern. The light flickered as I walked deeper into the cemetery. I felt a weight in the air. Something was wrong. I heard footsteps behind me. My heart raced, and I turned around quickly. Nobody was there, just silence. I told myself it was an animal, but deep down, I doubted it. By the end of the week, I decided to write everything down. I wanted proof of what I experienced. I wrote about the voices and the shadows that followed me. My hands shook as I wrote, but I pressed on, wanting to make it real. Then, on the last night, I found the disturbed grave again. I felt something pull me closer. I heard a name, faintly whispered, like someone called for help. My skin prickled. I looked around. Just shadows, I thought. They seemed to shift. Suddenly, I saw something beyond the headstone. It was a figure, dark and unclear, near a statue. I blinked, and it vanished. My breath caught in my throat. Panic surged through me. I looked everywhere, but all I saw were the trees and shadows. Finally, I turned to leave. That was when I heard it, a soft voice saying, "Help me." I froze, terror gripping me. I didn't know what to do. I just ran. My legs moved fast, and I didn't stop until I was home. Since that night, I can't shake those unsettling encounters. My mind races with questions. Was it real? Did I imagine it? I still find myself glancing back at that cemetery. I don't know what I experienced, but I'll never forget that voice calling out for help. The next day, I found myself staring blankly at my notebook. The pages were filled with names and dates, but all I could think of was that voice. Help me. It echoed in my mind, waking me up at night and haunting my thoughts during the day. I needed answers, but I was scared of what I might find. Determined to confront my fears, I decided to return to the cemetery. I gathered my things, a fresh notebook, my old lantern, and, for some strange reason, my grandmother's locket. It felt like something I needed to hold on to. As I stepped into the cemetery again, the air felt different. The clouds above hung low, threatening rain. I walked slowly, taking in the headstones I had studied so carefully before. Each one felt charged with energy, as if they were waiting for me to unlock their secrets. I tried to push aside my anxiety. I had to find out what was going on. When I reached the unmarked grave, I stopped. The ground seemed to ripple, almost like it was breathing. I knelt down, heart racing. "Who are you?" I whispered, hoping for an answer. The weight of silence pressed down on me. Then, to my shock, I noticed something shiny peeking out of the dirt. I instinctively reached for it, pulling up what looked like a rusted locket. It had a faded inscription on the back. I turned it in my hands, feeling a rush of emotions I couldn't explain. It was all tied to the voice that haunted me. Suddenly, a cold gust of wind swept through the cemetery. The trees shook violently, and I felt a presence, like someone was breathing down my neck. Panic flooded my senses. I wanted to leave, but I also felt compelled to dig deeper. The locket felt alive in my hand. That's when I heard it again. The whispering grew louder, swirling around me. "Find him! Help him!" I stumbled back, eyes wide. This time, the voice wasn't just a soft voice. It was insistent, demanding. Something was trying to reach me. I took a deep breath and steadied myself. My heartbeat was deafening in my ears, but I couldn't turn away. If someone needed help, who was I to ignore it? I had to know more about the grave before me. I took the locket and placed it carefully near the disturbed patch. In that moment, I felt a strange warmth wash over me. The tension in the air shifted. But just as quickly, a loud crack filled the silence. Lightning struck nearby, illuminating the cemetery in a flash. For a split second, I swore I saw the figure again, clearer than before. Then everything went dark. My lantern flickered and died. I was enveloped in darkness, the whispers growing frantic around me. I couldn't move. Fear gripped my throat. I had to escape. But before I could move, I felt a cold hand on my shoulder. It sent shivers down my spine. I spun around, breathless. "Who's there?" I shouted, but my voice trembled. The air thickened with urgency. That's when I realized I was no longer alone. I froze, heart racing as the chilly grip tightened on my shoulder. I took a shaky breath, trying to summon courage. "Show yourself," I demanded, my voice shaking. The darkness around me felt alive, swirling and pressing in on all sides. The hand fell away, leaving me gasping for clarity. I scanned the dark, squinting toward the direction I thought it came from. I raised the lantern, its small beam flickering uncertainly. In the dim light, I saw nothing but the graves surrounding me. "Who are you?" I dared to ask again, my voice barely above a whisper. No answer came, but the air shifted, thickening with tension. That's when I noticed a faint outline a few feet away. It flickered in and out of focus, like a shadow struggling to hold its form. I took a step back, adrenaline coursing through me. I wanted to run, but I felt anchored by some unseen force. I swept the lantern towards the figure, and the glow caught it just right. It looked like a man, or what used to be a man. His features were blurred, as if the very essence of him was frayed. But the sadness in his eyes pierced through the haze. My heart ached for him. "Help him," the voice whispered again, clearer this time. My throat constricted as I realized it was coming from the figure. Each word resonated deep within me. Find the truth. I wanted to ask what truth he meant, but he began to fade back into the darkness. My panic surged. "Wait, what do you want from me?" He hesitated for a moment, and I felt like he was trying to communicate something important. "The locket," he said, so faint I almost missed it. "The locket?" I repeated, glancing at the object still resting in the dirt. The rusted surface mirrored the pain and yearning in his expression. Just then, the wind picked up again, howling through the cemetery, and I felt a pull towards the grave. It was as if the earth itself was urging me to dig deeper. I dropped to my knees, the loose dirt mingling with my trembling hands. As I unearthed more soil, I found another object hidden within. My fingers brushed against something smooth and cold, a small, leather-bound journal. It was weathered but intact, and I could feel the weight of its secrets pressing against my palm. I hesitated, the weight of this moment heavy on my chest. Whatever was written inside could finally reveal the connection between me, the locket, and the restless spirit. But the intensity of the haunting whispers grew louder. "Find him! "Help him!" they cried out, relentless. With shaking hands, I opened the journal. The pages were filled. Then, my breath caught as I recognized a name. The same name as the one inscribed on the locket. Everything seemed to have come full circle. I felt both excited and terrified. What had I stumbled upon? I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being drawn into something far beyond my understanding. Suddenly, I heard a rustling in the trees. I looked up and froze. The figure was back, and this time he was closer. The urgency in his eyes pierced through the darkness, and I knew I had to decide. Would I help him, or would I run away from the truth he wanted to reveal? As I held the journal tightly to my chest, I faced the figure once more. I didn't know what I had signed up for, but I could feel that this night was far from over. I took a deep breath as the figure solidified before me. The sorrow in his eyes was palpable, and it tugged at my heart. "What do you want me to do?" I asked, my voice more confident this time, driven by a sense of duty to help. He simply stared back, as if weighing my sincerity. Without warning, the lantern flickered, causing shadows to stretch and contort around us. I clutched the journal tighter, conscious that time was slipping away. The rustling in the trees intensified, a low rumble echoing my anxiety. Panic crept back in, but I couldn't afford to give in. I needed to know what this ghost wanted. "Find the locket," he urged again, urgency lacing his voice. "You're close." Then he pointed towards a nearby grave, its stone worn and almost indistinguishable against the dark earth. I turned my attention to the grave, heart pounding. A sense of dread washed over me, but I forced myself to approach. The name etched into the stone sent chills down my spine. It was a name I recognized from the journal. As I stood before it, the weight of history pressed down on my shoulders. I brushed my fingers over the surface of the gravestone, lost in thought. Why did the locket matter? What secrets did it hold? Suddenly, the temperature dropped, the chill nipping at my skin. A voice broke through the stillness, echoing from all around. "You must find the truth before it's too late." I turned in panic, searching for the source, but the figure had vanished. My heart raced. There was something more going on here, something I couldn't yet grasp. Then I noticed something out of the corner of my eye. A glimmer, just behind the grave, caught my lantern's light. With hesitant steps, I moved closer, brushing away the dirt. As I knelt down, I uncovered a small box, dusty, but with a hint of shine that suggested it had been hidden away for longer than I realized. I opened it, breath catching in mine. Throat. Inside lay the locket, alongside a few delicate pieces of jewelry that belonged to a woman. But it was the locket that drew me in. It was engraved with the same name I had seen on the gravestone. I was no longer just a bystander. I was a part of this story, and the truth was finally within reach. But as I held the locket in my trembling hands, a sudden gust of wind blew through the cemetery, extinguishing my lantern completely. Darkness enveloped me, and I felt the ground shift beneath me. Panic bubbled within as I struggled to adjust to the deep blackness. I fumbled for my phone, praying the screen would provide a glimmer of hope. But before I could turn it on, a cold breath filled the air around me, whispering unintelligibly, pulling me back toward the grave. I was trapped. The voice grew stronger, more insistent, as if the cemetery itself was urging me to uncover more secrets. Just then, I heard footsteps approaching. Someone was coming. The urgency clawed at my insides, and I knew I had to act fast. I couldn't let anyone else discover what I had found. "Who's there?" I shouted into the void, my heart racing once more. I needed to make a choice. Should I flee or confront whatever was closing in on me? I felt the footsteps getting closer, heavy and deliberate. My instincts screamed for me to hide, but there was nowhere to go in the suffocating darkness. I could just make out the shape of the gravestones around me, looming like silent sentinels. "Who's there?" I called again, forcing my voice to sound steady, even though I was shaking. The whispering had intensified, swirling around me like fog, making it hard to think. I couldn't let whoever, or whatever, was coming find me with the locket in my hands. I risked a glance back toward the grave. The box lay half buried in the dirt, the locket gleaming faintly amidst the shadows. My first instinct was to bury it back and run, but what if it was the key to everything? I didn't even know what everything meant, but the urgency weighing on my chest was undeniable. The footsteps stopped abruptly, and a figure emerged from the darkness. It wasn't the ghost I had been speaking with, but a living person. A hooded figure stepped into the faint moonlight. I squinted, trying to make out their face, but the hood obscured everything. "Turn away," the figure commanded, voice rough and low. "You should not be here." "Who are you?" I stammered, gripping the locket tighter. Should I run? Try to fight? My heart pounded in my ears. "They're watching," the figure replied, glancing nervously around the graveyard. "You have something they want." The words sent chills down my spine. I had always felt a pull towards the supernatural, but this was a level of danger I hadn't anticipated. "What do you mean? Who's watching?" "It's not safe. You must leave the locket." The figure stepped closer, desperation apparent in the slight shake of their voice. "Don't be a fool. They will come for you if they find out." I hesitated. I had come so far, yet here was someone warning me of danger. But who were they? I thought of the ghost and the urgency in his plea. I couldn't just walk away. "I can't leave without knowing the truth," I said, trying to sound brave. The hooded figure pushed back their hood, revealing a face I recognized. The neighbor from down the street, Mrs. Hargrove. "You need to trust me," she said, her eyes wide with fear. "The locket connects to something dark. I've seen what happens to those who delve too deep." Before I could respond, a loud crash resonated from the deeper part of the cemetery. The ground trembled, and I felt a rush of cold air sweep past. My heart raced again, not with confusion, but panic. The voices swelled around me, a cacophony of whispers and warnings. I could feel the cemetery itself shift, as if it were coming alive. "Run!" Mrs. Hargrove screamed, her urgency cutting through the noise. "You don't have much time." I glanced back at the locket, torn between my instincts to protect it and the growing sense of danger surrounding me. The choice loomed large, and in that moment I realized the truth was closer than I ever imagined. Then I heard the footsteps again, marching toward us, more menacing this time. Whatever was happening, it was escalating. I had to make a decision. Would I confront this new threat, or would I flee into the night, leaving everything and everyone behind? I didn't take a second to think. The urgency in Mrs. Hargrove's voice propelled me into action. I turned to run, my feet pounding on the ground as I bolted away from the grave. I didn't look back. I could feel the weight of the moment urging me forward, driving me deeper into the shadows of the cemetery. "Stay close," Mrs. Hargrove called, her voice echoing behind me. I could hear the scrape of something dragging along the ground, closer now, relentless. I skidded to the side, putting a few gravestones between me and that unknown threat, and stopped to catch my breath. "What's happening?" I gasped, trying to hold the locket against my chest. "Who's coming for me?" "The ones who lost it," she whispered, glancing nervously over her shoulder. "They won't stop until they reclaim what's theirs." I felt a chill creep up my spine. "What does that mean?" "They think you're a threat, that you can unlock its power. That's why the whispers are getting louder." She reached out, placing a hand on my shoulder. "You need to let it go. You don't know what you're dealing with." "No," my voice cracked with panic. "I need to know what it means, why I'm here."
Before she could respond, a shadow darted past the corner of my vision. Whipped around, heart in my throat. "Did you see that?" I asked, but the answer was already in the air. The flickering light in the distance, like a warning beacon flickering wildly. "Go!" Mrs. Hargrove urged, pulling me forward. I could hear the whispers growing louder again, a sinister chorus fueled by something ancient. As we stumbled further into the cemetery, a sudden surge of wind knocked Mrs. Hargrove off balance. She stumbled to her knees, and in that moment, I felt something collide with my chest. I flew backward, landing hard on the ground, knocking the breath from my lungs. "Get up!" she cried, reaching out for me. But the wind was howling now, swirling around us like a tornado, throwing dirt and debris into the air. I scrambled to my feet, and that was when I saw it. The light had shifted, revealing a figure cloaked in darkness, standing at the edge of the graveyard. Tall and imposing, they watched us with an intensity that sent fear through my veins. "He's here!" Mrs. Hargrove shouted, her voice nearly drowned out by the chaos. "We can't let him take you!" "Who is he?" I gasped, trying to catch my breath, my instincts screaming at me to flee. "The one who will reclaim the locket," she yelled, "the one who knows its secrets." Panic surged in my chest as the figure stepped closer, the whispers growing to a frenzy. I grabbed the locket, my fingers shaking, desperate for any hint of what I might unlock. There was no turning back now. I had to decide whether to face this new danger or let go of everything I had come to uncover. And then I realized my answer was already echoing in the wind. I didn't have time to weigh my options. The figure inched closer, shrouded in darkness. The whispers suddenly stopped, replaced by a sickening silence that felt heavy in the air. My throat tightened, and I glanced at Mrs. Hargrove. Her eyes were wide with fear. "We have to keep moving," she urged, but I couldn't take my eyes off the figure. Something about it felt familiar, like a shadow from my past lurking just out of reach. "Who are you?" I shouted, my voice trembling. "What do you want?" To my shock, the figure paused, its form flickering like a candle in the wind. "You know what I seek," it said, the voice low and gravelly. I took a step back, confused. "The locket is your burden, but it belongs to me." Fear shot through me. "I don't know what you mean. I just found it." "Found it?" It stepped into the moonlight, revealing a face that twisted into an unsettling grin. The resemblance was uncanny. I gasped. "You don't understand, do you?" "That's enough," Mrs. Hargrove shouted, dragging me backward. "He's trying to manipulate you. We need to run." But something kept me rooted in place. The figure raised a hand, and a surge of energy rippled through the air. I felt it wash over me, like a cold wave crashing down, urging me to listen. "You have the power to change everything," it rasped. "I can help you unlock it." "Don't listen to him," Mrs. Hargrove screamed, pulling me again. I could see the determination in her eyes, but I was torn. My mind raced with questions. What if this was the key to understanding my past, to discovering who I really was? Just let it go. In that moment of hesitation, the energy pulsed again, and I felt a connection between the locket and the figure. It was like a dormant part of me began to awaken. I held the locket tightly, feeling its warmth seep into my palm. The whispers returned, now a gentle current, urging me to take a leap of faith. Finally, I shook my head, as if breaking free from a spell. "No, I won't let you control me!" The figure's expression darkened, and it took a menacing step forward. "You think you can resist? You don't know what you're dealing with." Mrs. Hargrove pushed me behind her. "We need to go now. We can't fight this here." In that instant, I felt a spark ignite inside me. Wait, I can't just walk away. Without thinking, I raised the locket. It glimmered brightly, casting beams of light in all directions. The whispers crescendoed into a chaotic symphony. Then, everything went dark. The last thing I heard was a faint scream. I blinked, disoriented. The silence felt like a weight pressing down on me. My heart raced, and I struggled to remember what had just happened. Where was I? The air was cool and damp, a sharp contrast to the overwhelming energy from before. I rubbed my eyes and turned in a circle, trying to make sense of my surroundings. I was back at the cemetery, but everything looked different. The moonlight spilled through the trees, casting strange shadows that danced across the ground. I couldn't see Mrs. Hargrove anywhere. "Mrs. Hargrove?" I called out, my voice barely above a whisper. Panic began to creep in. I stepped cautiously toward the nearest tombstone, the engraved name barely visible in the dark. My fingers grazed the cold stone, and I felt a chill run down my spine. That's when I noticed something at my feet. A pool of darkness shifted against the grass. I leaned in closer, and the realization hit me like a punch to the gut. "No," I muttered. It was the locket, lying there, cold and lifeless. The light it had emitted was gone, replaced by a sense of dread that filled the air. Suddenly, the ground trembled slightly beneath me. I stumbled back, heart pounding. The whispers returned, more frantic now, a wave of voices overlapping. "Find her. Unlock it. You must choose." I pressed my palms to my ears, desperate to block it out. Then I saw movement. A dark shape appeared in the corner of my vision.
Turned to look, but nothing was there. Just the trees swaying gently in the night, the shadows playing tricks on my mind. I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching me. The tension mounted and my breath quickened. Should I look for Mrs. Hargrove or stay where I was? I knew I couldn't linger. The energy from the figure had felt wrong, almost suffocating. The connection to the locket scared me. Still, I found myself inexplicably drawn to it. Fighting my fear, I bent down to pick it up. As my fingers wrapped around it, a jolt of energy surged through me. The whisper swelled, turning into a singular, insistent voice. "You have to unlock it!" I gasped and tried to let go, but it was too late. I was sucked into a vision, images flickering like a cursed film strip. I saw a girl, her face a mirror of mine. She was standing at a similar grave, tears streaming down her cheeks. She looked lost and alone. My heart raced as I realized it was me, but not me. The vision shifted painfully, revealing darkness closing in. A figure in the shadows loomed behind the girl, its shape familiar yet terrifying. I felt my body tense up as a chill curled around my spine. Suddenly, I was back in the cemetery, breathless and shaking. I dropped the locket again, stumbling back. "What just happened?" I whispered to myself. But before I could process, a rustling sound shattered the silence. Someone or something was moving between the graves. "Mrs. Hargrove?" I called out, but no answer came. My voice echoed eerily. Then I saw a figure step into the moonlight. My blood ran cold as I recognized the face staring back at me. "Oh no," I breathed, realization dawning as the figure advanced, a twisted smile on its face. I stood frozen, my heart racing as the twisted figure moved closer. The face that had once brought me comfort was now twisted in a way that felt alien. Mrs. Hargrove's smile had always been warm and inviting. This one was wrong. "Please, just go away," I stammered, backing away from her. My back hit a tombstone, and I glanced at the names carved into the stone, desperate to find some kind of escape. The warmth of her earlier presence was replaced by a cold haze that wrapped around me like a shroud. "Why didn't you come when I called?" she asked, her voice echoing softly, yet it was laced with something sinister. I could hardly recognize her tone. It was sharp and demanding. I was looking for you," I managed to say, confusion flooding my mind. What was happening? Where did you go? "Into the darkness," she responded, her smile widening. "And you must join me." The ground shifted beneath me again, and a low hum vibrated through the air. It sounded like the whispers had returned, but now they were mingling with something else, a chant, rhythmic and dark. "No!" I turned to run, but suddenly a bone-chilling wind swept through the cemetery. It felt like icy fingers clawing at my skin. I stumbled, caught off guard, and Mrs. Hargrove was right at my side. In that moment, her hand shot out, grabbing my wrist with an iron grip. "The locket! You have to open it!" Her eyes were wide, almost wild, filled with an emotion I couldn't name. The pull of the locket surged in me again, as if it had a mind of its own. "Let me go!" I yelled, trying to shake her off. It hurt. The connection felt like something was ripping at my very soul. I remembered the vision, the girl and the shadow. "What are you asking me to unlock?" Her face morphed, shifting between terror and delight. "You'll see. You'll understand." The ground shook again, harder this time, sending me sprawling to the cold, damp earth. I let out a gasp, struggling to catch my breath. As I fought to get back up, I glanced at the locket on the grass. It lay there, shimmering faintly, like a heartbeat waiting to be realized. Against my better judgment, I lunged for it, this time pulling it toward me with urgency. "Stop!" Mrs. Hargrove screamed, her voice rising. It cracked through the air, cutting through the fog of confusion. "You're not ready!" But I was already unlocking it. My fingers brushed the cold metal clasp. With a click, it swung open. Light erupted from the locket, blinding me momentarily. I squeezed my eyes shut, pulling my arms up to shield myself. When I opened them again, the scene had changed. No longer stood a cemetery bathed in moonlight. Instead, I was in a dimly lit room filled with shadows moving against the walls. I looked around, heart racing. "Why am I here?" I whispered. Where was Mrs. Hargrove? I felt a shiver crawl up my spine as I realized I was not alone. Then I heard it. The same chant, now echoing louder, weaving through the air like a web. I turned to see a tall figure draped in darkness, its face obscured. Fear gripped me as I took a step back. I was being pulled deeper into this strange world. "Unlock the truth," the figure hissed, its voice low and gravelly. "You are chosen." Panic surged through me, more pressing than before. All at once, I was trapped, and the questions piled up. What choice? What truth? The answer slipped away as I stumbled backward, dread flooding my thoughts. Then, everything went dark. I emerged from the blackness with a gasp, sprawled across the damp ground, heart racing wildly as panic surged through me. The cemetery still surrounded me, the moonlight bathing the headstones in silvery hues. I blinked, disoriented once again. Where was Mrs. Hargrove, and what had just happened? I sat up slowly, glancing around. My fingers brushed against the locket, still warm and pulsing slightly in my hand. It lay open, and the air around me felt electric, charged with energy that vibrated against my skin. The whispers were gone, but I sensed a painful weight remaining, a heaviness pressing on my chest. What did I just unlock? I stood, shaking off the lingering dread, acutely aware of the night's stillness, broken only by the whisper of the wind through the trees. The sorrowful energy from before had lifted somewhat,
but unease still gnawed at me. I half expected the shadowy figure to reappear or for the chance to start echoing again, but nothing came. In that silence, I felt an overwhelming sense of responsibility, a pull toward the unmarked grave, a feeling that I needed to confront whatever remained of my new reality. Had I truly helped the spirit? Did I free it, or only open a door that could never be closed again? With hesitant steps, I approached the grave that had captured my attention since the beginning. The disturbed earth lay bare before me, and the locket seemed to hum in my pocket. I reached for it, feeling the warmth against my palm, urging me to use it one more time. "Who are you?" I whispered toward the grave, my voice shaky but determined. "What happened to you?" Nothing stirred, just silence surrounded me, heavy and brooding. Then, from somewhere deep in the earth, I felt it, a shift, a response. The ground seemed to pulse rhythmically, almost as if answering my question. I knelt down again, raw urgency igniting inside of me. Was this the moment to use the locket's power again, or would it only lead to further chaos? Before I could hesitate, I slipped my fingers around the locket and held it above the ground. "I'm here to help. Show me the truth." As if responding to my plea, the air shimmered with light. Suddenly, a vision bloomed before my eyes. A girl, no, a woman, stood over the grave, soft tears glimmering in her eyes. It was a younger version of myself. I recognized the sorrow that draped her like a heavy cloak, the grave giving her no solace. She spoke, but I couldn't hear her words. Only the expression of utter despair resonated with me, and I felt an ache in my heart, a connection drawing me closer. I reached back for the locket, grasping it more tightly. Then, like a sudden rupture in the fabric of reality, I was pulled into the depths of her emotions. Pain, loneliness, anger. A wave of memories washed over me. Laughter mixed with anguish, the fleeting joy overshadowed by sorrow. I felt the burden she had carried alone, the weight of her story now intertwining with mine. And in that moment, I knew this was not just a haunting. It was a promise unfulfilled, a life cut short without closure. All the pieces fell into place, the connection to that grave, that name, and the shadows I had glimpsed all along. I stumbled back, a suffocating sense of responsibility rising within me.
This was bigger than me. It wasn't about finding answers for my own sake. It was about honoring a life hidden in the depths of sorrow. Before I could falter, the night shimmered again, as if recognizing my resolve. But would I leave with answers, or would the truth stay forever elusive? As I stood there, heart pounding in the silence, questions lingered in the air. What could I do with this knowledge? Would I continue searching for clarity, knowing that the supernatural world danced on the edges of darkness? Or would I become a part of it, lost among the whispers and shadows? I took a deep breath, pockets heavy with the weight of the past. I turned to leave the cemetery, the locket still clutched in my hand. There would be no easy resolution to my journey. The darkness might remain, the questions too, but I felt myself walking toward a new dawn, ready to confront whatever came next. I still think about that night sometimes. The cemetery stands in town, quiet and undisturbed, but the ghosts of lost stories linger just beneath the surface. I find myself haunted, not just by the events that transpired, but by the lives once lived and the mysteries left unsolved, waiting for someone willing to listen. I've never looked at shadows in quite the same way since. They contain more than I'll ever understand.